There we are. Good evening, everybody.
And we are live.
Yep. Good to have you all with us tonight. The 1st of June.
Happy Friday, everybody. Hope you guys had a good week. How was your day, Charles?
Pretty overall, and thanks to your lovely wife. I went out to did some work, went to Lihui, came back, check on some of my accounts, see how they're doing, check on some of the new accounts that I picked up, see how they're doing. But I was just trying to make heads or tails on Dr. Bodin's report for today. It was kind of interesting.
Doctor who?
Michael Bodin, the forensic pathologist.
Oh.
Very, very, very enlightening individual. Akamai guy.
Well, thank you everybody again for joining us tonight. As the guests come rolling in, we have our prosecutor, Justin Kollar, going to be our guest tonight. He will be chiming in a couple of minutes. So get your questions ready, people. Get your questions. I know I have a couple of questions that came throughout the day. So we are going to be posing those questions and just getting a kind of an overview of what it's like right now during the COVID pandemic and just in general, crime. And we'll talk about the prison release program again. He was on a month and a half ago or so to explain how that was going on. And he's going to cover that again. There's been a lot of questions about that. And we got a jam-packed week, actually. This week, we have a bunch of interesting speakers. Tomorrow night, we have Lieutenant Governor Josh Green. That's going to be interesting because of the announcement today at 2 o'clock from the governor that they're opening up inter-island, or they're going to drop the inter-island quarantine effective June 16th, which is a couple of weeks. So the Lieutenant Governor been harping on that for quite a while. So it'll be good to get his insight and try to find out from him. It sounds like that the mainland quarantine will be dropped probably at the end of June. That's kind of what I see. But again, everything is so secret. No, no one wants to give us an idea. But next week, the governor said he was going to reveal the target date of lifting the mainland quarantine. So we'll see. Is it going to be July? Is it going to be August? Is it going to be September? We'll see. I think they're going to use this inter-island quarantine drop as a test to see how everything goes at the airports and if we can even manage the processing of all these passengers going in between islands. My biggest concern, as I've always said from day one, was these passengers that land on Oahu and connect to the other islands on an inter-island plane. That is what scares me, because we got to make sure we get a handle on those guys, and that in fact, if they are coming from the mainland, they need to quarantine. So, that'll be a question I'll be posing to the Lieutenant Governor tomorrow night. Wednesday, we'll have Senator De La Cruz again and a couple of his compadres. And Thursday, we have Carrie Ann Shirota and a bunch of her colleagues, attorneys, that are going to be basically discussing their advocates for letting people out of prison and back restorative justice type back into the community. So that one's going to be an interesting discussion. And then Friday we have, who do we have Friday? I forget. Charlie, you remember who we got on Friday?
No, not offhand. I know Saturday we had Capono Chong Hansen, Dr. Love on Saturday.
Excuse me. Damn. Who was on Friday? Hang on. I think I'm losing my mind.
I think you're losing your mind too.
Justin is asking for the link. Okay. Oh my God, Friday. Jeez Louise. Congressman Ed Case. How did I forget that? Congressman Ed Case will be with us on Friday, so it will be an interesting discussion. Hang on while I send this link over to Justin here.
Well, as you're doing that, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a very trying week wherever you're at. We know that there's been a lot of rioting going on. I don't agree with it. I know you're trying to make a point, but hey, taking it out on someone else's property, endangering lives is not what it's about. I'm so glad that people from Hawaii were level-headed, even though we may not agree with some of the protests sometimes, but hey, at least we keep everything in a peaceful realm and don't let anything get out of hand. But oh, things are just crazy. Things are just crazy.
Yeah, I posted. I'm not sure why I posted on my story and my wall. It for some reason it didn't go on the wall. But it showed up on my story, so you'll see multiple duplicates on my story. But it really, the definition of protests and riots, protests are peaceful, getting your message across, chanting, marching, using signs, all of that stuff. That's what protesting is all about. Riots is when it becomes violent, which is what we're seeing across the country right now, and it's basically out of control.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if I don't know if I have Justin's right number or wrong number. Why isn't he responding?
Well, it's because it's because he's not responding.
He's on Facebook. He's posting on Facebook asking for the link. But I don't want to post a link on Facebook because then everybody's going to jump on. I'm not sure why it's not happening. Why he's not. Hang on real quick. Unless I have his. No, I cannot have his wrong number. But we're going to find out right now. So yeah, man, this whole protesting thing, I mean, I think we all agree. But when they start demolishing property, hurting and killing people, looting, and destroying police cars and overrunning police stations, and oh, no wonder I get the wrong number. Wonder whose number I get. Oh my God, why would I have? Hang on, Charles. Entertain the crowd, Charles, while I'm.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you're getting firsthand what not to do on Facebook Live. That is called a wrong number. Okay, because it will not work. Oh, he just wrote the number down for you.
Yeah, I just said.
No, Justin will write the number.
There he is. I don't know what happened. I guess I get his wrong number. I did. Anyway, boom. Here he comes. Ladies and gentlemen, there he is. I don't know what the heck. I think I get your wrong number. How many phones you got, boss?
I get one phone now. I've had the same phone number for 10 years, and you have called me on it many times.
So who's that other phone number I get? The 384 number.
I have no idea, bro. I had a 388 like 12
No, I'm sorry, 388. 388. What the heck? I think I get the wrong number.
Bro, that's my number from like 12 years ago. I get one phone now.
Okay, so you get your Facebook Live running, Justin.
Yes, sir.
We can hear it coming all across and I'm hearing myself twice. It's like
okay.
Like an echo.
Okay.
Okay, I got it now, buddy. I got it now.
Perfect.
I don't know how that happened because I've texted you all the time.
Who knows?
Okay. Anyway, welcome, Justin Kollar, County Prosecutor.
Good evening.
AKA my boss. I like your hair, by the way.
My hairstylist has informed me that she can get me in on June 17th. So I got 2 solid more weeks of this mop coming your way. Ronnie Chen of Studio 203 in Lihue, my #1 hairstylist. But yeah, gonna be a couple more weeks.
Yeah, I don't know how long it's gonna take me because I'm a Ikeda kind of guy, and Patsy and I actually we get carpool again, and this morning we went early to go to Ikeda, and the line was around the building already. So, and then I made one more attempt in the afternoon, and it was the same thing. So, I have no clue when Ikeda is gonna catch up with all of their customers because I know
They're gonna be busy over there for a while.
So I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna have to break protocol and go see a hairstylist. I don't know if I've ever done that. I just use the hat. I just use the hat.
It works. It's looking good, looking clean.
I did shave the neck hairs earlier this morning before I went to. So, but
what's
anyway.
this about? This about a 6 weeks growth here on the side?
It's about 2 months, and I'm embarrassed that it's not really filling out. So
it'll fill in. Give it some time.
Nah, it's gonna come off before it fills in. Look, Mel is supposed to shave his head. You're right, but the donor felt sorry and said I could keep my hair. But I would take off my hat, but it would fill up the entire screen.
Yeah, I caught a glimpse today at work, and it was looking pretty spacious. Yeah.
Yeah, two people told me, "Hey, bro, the barbershops are open. You know, I know. And you know, Ikeda, they do not take appointments, so it's you just show up.
No, you're on your own. Yeah.
So anyway, hey, thanks for joining us again. I know you were on several weeks ago, and we chatted about a bunch of things, and things are changing every day.
Yep.
Just talking about before you came on, we're talking about the inter-island quarantine being lifted June 16th, and I'm sure the mainland quarantine will be lifted a month or so after that. So we're moving into normalcy and hoping for the best. And one of the topics that was brought up, and in fact was the reason why I asked you to come back on, was, of course, the prisoner release program. You shared a lot about that the last time you were here, but maybe we can start with that. And then we do have some questions that were sent in earlier today. Billy Kenoy is on. Mayor Billy, happy anniversary. In fact, it's not an anniversary. He got married again. He said, screw the anniversary. We're going to get married again. So, hey, Billy, love to you and your family, your wife. Hug them all for us from me and Patsy, and good luck in your new marriage. But anyway,
much aloha to you, brother Billy.
Yeah, brother Billy, man, we'll go down as the best mayors I've ever known. But that's just he's a good man. He's a good man. All right. Indeed. So Justin, let's start there, and then we'll pose the questions as they come in. But
sure. Yeah. And no, not at all. We talked about this a little bit, or quite a bit actually, the last time I was with you folks, and really what the situation back, if you can think all the way back to the beginning of March or the middle of March, it seems like 10 years ago at this point, but was like 10 weeks ago. And we saw this virus coming, and we saw it starting to spread in Hawaii and starting to spread in a lot of places on the mainland. And so that's when, our county took some real decisive leadership and started really looking for ways to slow down the flashpoints for transmission or possible transmission of the virus. And one of those, we looked at everything. We looked at, okay, we got to regulate how many people we let inside of Costco at any given time. We got to look at how many people can be inside the grocery store. We got to close down the schools, the movie theaters. One of the areas that we really had to struggle with as a community is what do we do with our jails and correctional centers? Because we knew that there are a lot more people in there than those facilities were originally designed to hold. So there wasn't really an opportunity in there to do the social distancing and the hygiene and things like that we really needed to do to make sure we weren't jeopardizing the community. And, you know, it's not just about the inmates. You know, we know that they all did things to be inside that facility, but also for the protection of the correctional workers, and as well as the sheriffs who got to transport them back and forth to the court, the people who work in the courts, everybody that goes in and out of the facilities, the medical staff. You know, if you think about the places on the island where you're most likely to get people coming back and forth in and out on a daily basis, at this point right now, you know, when we had everything shut down, one of the last places on the island you still saw large groups of people congregating was the jail. So, you know, we saw a lot of places on the mainland where the virus came into the facility, and then that became a flashpoint for the whole community. If you look at places like Cook County in Illinois, even in Arizona, the La Palma detention facility, which is very close to the Saguaro facility that Hawaii sends inmates to, they've got a huge outbreak going on in that detention center right now. As of 2 days ago, I think they had 80 inmates testing positive. And that spreads from the inmates, not just inside the jail again, but to the employees, who then take it home to their families, take it out to the community, to the kids. And that's when things really start to get dangerous for the community. So what we did, at least on Kauai, is we said, hey, we got a jail. We only got about 150 guys in this jail. So, you know, I talked to the staff there, the medical staff, and, you know, everybody I know that works there. And I said, what do you folks need to do in terms of being able to space people out? So if you've got an inmate who's coming over from Oahu, like, can you put him someplace safe where he's not going to potentially expose other people? Or if you get somebody who's coming in and they've got suspicious symptoms, but because of the crime, we cannot let them out. Do you have a place you can put them where they're not going to expose the staff or the other inmates? And so, you know, we figured out kind of where we needed to get to with the head count in order to allow that to happen. And, you know, we worked really hard with the judges, with the defense attorneys, with the police department. You know, we created lists, vetted every single case, and came up with a group that we thought, okay, maybe these people, we'd be able to supervise them in the community as long as they're making their calls to the intake officer, as long as they're doing their drug tests, as long as they have a residence, things like that. Then maybe they can be in the community until such a time as we can put them back into the jail to complete the sentence. So we were able to get the population at the jail down at the worst part of the pandemic, as it was happening here in Hawaii. We got the jail population down to about 90, 95 inmates, which is really the lowest it's been probably since the 1990s. And that enabled the folks at the jail to be able to do the quarantines as they needed to do for inmate movements, or if they had an inmate who was showing symptoms, they were able to quarantine that inmate. It worked out very well. We got to a point where it became clear that we had the situation under control in Hawaii. And, you know, we're not out of the woods yet, but the situation is under control at the moment, at least on Kauai. So we were able to have some of those inmates who had gotten suspended sentences or delayed sentences, they went back in and are now serving their time. The population at the jail is back up to about 127, 128 inmates, which is right around what its capacity is. So, you know, the only issue they're facing there right now is the Department of Public Safety is telling them that they should do a 14-day quarantine for new inmates who are coming into the facility. But now they're coming right up against the edge of having the space to be able to do that. So right now it's a question of trying to prevent the virus from coming into the jails. And, you know, I know it's real easy for us to say, oh, but there are no cases there. There are no cases on Kauai. All it takes is one. And, you know, we've heard Mel and Charlie talking about this for weeks, and I've been echoing them about this for weeks. All it takes is one to slip through on that airplane, and all of a sudden we right back to where we were in the beginning of March. So it's not a question of us saying, oh, we got to get bodies out or get people out, but we just got to be real careful about minimizing the opportunities for that virus to get a toehold anywhere in our community. So, you know, that's where we're at right now. We seem to be in a pretty good place. Everybody in the criminal justice system on the island stepped up. during this last 10 weeks that we've been in this, crime rate has been low. The police have written, a number of citations for curfew violations and things of that nature. Very few for the quarantine violations, mostly for the curfews. And, other than that, crime has been low. So I think that we showed that when we really made a team effort here on Kauai, that approach paid off. And we're not in a situation they're in some of the other counties where they have to look at, the Supreme Court possibly doing mass releases, or, they're having these very ugly and heated kind of disagreements about what do they do with their jail populations. Because we were able to jump on that early on in the process on Kauai, we were able to really avoid having us be enmeshed in that whole situation. So that's kind of the nuts and the bolts of it right there. I don't know if anybody had any specific questions about particular things, but.
Well, a question arose, Justin, from a state representative just asking, they were interested to know how many inmates actually had symptoms of the pandemic on Kauai. I believe there are none, right? That we
You
know.
currently or from?
At the inception of the program, in the release program, did we have anyone with COVID?
There were no positive results. I know that there were inmates who were tested because they were exhibiting possible symptoms. I don't know what the specific number is, but I know that especially towards the beginning of this situation, there were some inmates who came in that they did test. So.
Okay.
Carrie Ann Sharota, who's going to be our guest here on Thursday, posted the Department of Public Safety conducted less than 30 tests as of last week, even though it incarcerates more than 4,000 people. So I would bet Kauai is a very small number. I haven't heard personally, and again, I'm not connected to the jail, so I wouldn't know, but I haven't heard anything about, we know there have been no cases.
Correct.
So whatever amount that got tested obviously did not test positive. So
we've been really lucky, and it hasn't even been luck. It's because of the steps that we took as a community, I think.
And as Charlie has said for so many weeks now, since the numbers, Kauai has really, he calls it scrubbing. It's been pretty much scrubbed, and there's always that chance of the new virus coming in from not just tourists, but from returning residents or people traveling inter-island. So do you know, let me get back to the other connected question. And I think you mentioned this earlier, but for the person that asked, how did you determine, or how did your team determine who got released? I would assume it was collaborative effort between you, the jail, the judiciary. If you could expand on that.
Well, it was definitely a collaborative process, and I definitely want to say that every single any of these releases had to have been approved by a judge. The prosecutors don't release people. The cops don't release people from the jails. The jails don't release people from the jails. It's up to a judge to say, I've reviewed everything, and this is my decision. So in some of those cases, there were people that we agreed could be safely put in the community if there were people we knew their history, we knew they came to court, we knew they weren't violent, we knew they had places to go. We were more likely to say, okay, we're not going to object. But then there were also a number of cases where we said, we do object. We don't think this person is safe to be in the community. History of violence, history of property crimes, whatever it is, we're going to object. In some of those cases, the judges sided with us. In some of those cases, the judge sided with the defendant. So each and every one of these cases was decided on the merits by a judge. And that's something that the special master who was appointed by the Supreme Court really made the cornerstone of this whole process, is that he wasn't going to order mass releases. He wasn't recommending that the Supreme Court order the mass releases. He was recommending that the judges who were familiar with the defendants, who had the benefit of knowing the history of the case and having the case file, that was the judge who was responsible for making the decision. And that's what happened here on Kauai. So, like I said, some of them we agreed, some of them we disagreed. At the end of the day, the judge did their job and they were the one making the decision.
And in fact, I think that was a good call by the special master, who was what is a Supreme Court justice, right?
He was a
Or
judge
retired.
on the Intermediate Court of Appeals who retired. Yeah.
And I think it was a good call that the presiding judge or the sentencing judge would be the one to make the call versus any sitting judge.
Yes.
Like you explained, that judge should have been familiar or had access anyway to the case file, that he could, and more than likely would have the best oversight whether or not this person should be released or not.
That's right. I agree with that.
Do you know how many were released, and of those released, how many reoffended?
I think at the high end, I'm going to say that there were probably between 3 dozen and 4 dozen, maybe 35 to 50 inmates who were affected by this situation. There were some of them who reoffended, and those were mostly technical type of violations, like they didn't check in with their probation officer in a timely fashion. They missed an appointment, things of that nature. Some of them, we also had situations where it was like shoplifting type of cases or COVID violations, not staying where they're supposed to be. We were fortunate enough to not have any of the offenders released who were rearrested on any, more serious types of offenses, like I think they've seen on some of the other islands, where they had to make some more kind of snap decisions.
I know I'm seeing posts from people from off island that apparently it's worked decent here on Kauai, but it hasn't worked as well on Oahu or on the Big Island. Again, same process, correct? I mean, Kauai didn't have a separate or different process, right?
No, well, the only thing that was different about our process is that we took action before the Supreme Court told us we had to take action. We saw this problem coming, and we decided we were going to hit it head on. So weeks before the special master was laying out this process, and the Supreme Court was issuing these orders saying, okay, public defenders, file your motions by this date, judges hear them by this date, make a decision by this date. We had already, by and large, addressed the problem because we took our time. We were able to go through the jail rosters, like literally line by line, name by name, talking to everybody involved about, okay, if this person can or this person no can. So it wasn't me making the decision or a probation officer making the decision. We got the input from as many people as we could under the circumstances. And I think, I know the other islands have much larger populations to deal with, but they could benefit from the approach that we took here, which was really just to be reasonable and think about, we're a small community, so a lot of the people who are at the jail, we know their history already. Like Mel, you probably know some of them. Charlie, you know some of them. Everybody, it's not hard to get input and find out, okay, who are the ones who can handle this and who are the ones who cannot handle this. On Oahu, I don't know how you deal with that situation because they just got so many more inmates, so many more courtrooms, so many more situations to try to figure out.
Was there a period of time that, well, obviously when you guys started with your effort, the master hadn't, the court master or whatever he's called wasn't involved at that time. On the other islands weren't practicing that. So was there a time before the court master ordered the sentencing judge to review all the cases? Were cases being going through the court with regular sitting judges, or where all the decisions made, and this is more for the outer islands, where most of the decisions made, or some of the decisions made by sitting judges that may have not been familiar with the original case?
You know, I don't know what happened on the other islands. I know that on this island, the decisions were made by the presiding judges in the case who were the most familiar with the cases. If that judge, you know, if the original case had been sentenced by a per diem judge or a judge that only works a couple days a month, in that case, it might have gone to one of the more regular full-time judges. But I'm not aware of, you know, what happened on the other islands. I know that they have a lot more moving pieces and a lot more courtrooms, and so I can't say.
Justin, you know, we have, I guess Kauai has had the best success in keeping and I apologize for doing this, things are popping up on my screen, but
Yeah.
having the success that it did by keeping even the incubation period, I mean, 24 days straight with no cases at all. Someone's asking, you know, if we're at that point, why not put everybody back in? Because we don't have any cases, you know, the ones that got released.
Well, what you are seeing people go back in. So
Okay.
there's not like this long list of people out in the community waiting to get back into the jail. Most of the inmates who had their sentences suspended, these were not like 20-year sentences. These were like 30-day, 60-day sentences. They may have only had a month left or 2 weeks left. A lot of them have gone back in already. So,
Okay.
you know, the jail population is much closer to what we would call
Maximum.
normal. So,
Yeah. And what about the quarantine period? Are these inmates that going back in, are they required to quarantine?
well, they're in jail, so I don't know where they're going, but the Department of Public Safety does want them to spend 14 days isolated before they're put back into the population. But when you look at a jail like KCCC, where are you going to put those people? So that's the situation they're facing now. Is if they have somebody that gets sentenced to serve 30 days of jail, they have to quarantine them for 14 of those days. Where are they going to find that space? Because that jail was designed to hold about 110 people, and now we're getting back up to 125, 130. So it's hard to find dedicated space where you can quarantine people. Because obviously, now that we've scrubbed it here on Kauai, we don't want somebody that either got transported here from a different jail or interacted with somebody in the community that traveled in from another island, and then see them go into this congested facility and start spreading it again. So yeah, they are trying to quarantine, and I think they're doing the best they can with, you know, the limited space that they have.
All right. So as far as releases, that's not happening anymore. That they've exhausted all those requests for release.
All of the deadlines that the Hawaii Supreme Court set in its initial orders, those have all come and gone. That process is essentially over with already. Now you do still see defendants or defense attorneys, I should say, who are filing motions to have their defendants released pre-trial. And as part of it, they are citing the risk posed by COVID. Now, thankfully, because of what we've done over the last 2 months, we are able to be in a strong position where we go in and say, there are no cases. We have no reason to believe there has been any opportunity for the virus to come into the facility. We think that it is safe now for this person to be in the facility. We are on a much stronger ground to do that now that we've gone 6 weeks on Kauai with no new infections. And I knock on wood every time I say that, because goodness gracious. Yeah. So it all dovetails together.
Well, and the people got to understand too that the number of physical arrests have decreased simply because
Yes.
the officers are now issuing citations with court dates. That was a directive that was made quite a while ago by the police department, I think statewide, that if
Yep.
it, obviously certain parameters, non-violent, petty misdemeanors, misdemeanors, where you can write a citation, they've been writing citations. So the number of inmates or subjects that are being taken to ISC has dropped tremendously.
Yeah.
It's not normal right now.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of the reason why the population is so low. We're not.
That's definitely part of it. And you know that, on a petty misdemeanor or a misdemeanor in Hawaii, the police officer has the discretion to either issue you a citation or they can arrest you and set bail. So say driving without a license, it's a petty misdemeanor. The police officer can either arrest you or give you a citation and say, wait here, have your friend come get you. Now, if it's somebody that officer has stopped 4 or 5 times, okay, they're going to arrest you at that point. But because they do have that discretion, it has resulted in fewer people being arrested and coming through the front door of that jail. And, whether we like to talk about it or not, some people that come into the jail, they're there because they can't afford to post bail. It's not necessarily that they are a dangerous person. They just don't have the $50 or the $100 or the $150 to post bail. And what we've done is minimize the number of those people that we have coming into the population and making sure that the people who are there are the ones who are really dangerous and need to be locked up. So in that respect, I think we've been more successful than in some of the other counties. And Chief Raybuck and his team have done a fantastic job through this. A lot of the COVID citations and curfew violations that have been written over the past 2 months, they're going to start coming into court this week. So this is going to be, this week and the next couple of weeks are going to be very interesting and very busy weeks in district court. And I know for a fact that because the chief has done a very smart job about giving instructions to his team, it's going to go a lot easier than it could have otherwise. So
I'm really curious as these cases get before the judge. What is the state's position going to be as far as these people that are coming up for quarantine violations or curfew violations? Because the mayors, the governor came out really strong with this $5,000 fine, or in some cases $10,000 fines. What's going to be the state's position? Have you communicated with other prosecutors throughout the state? Is the state's position going to be to whack them for the $5,000, or is it going to be a case by case? What's
everything? When you're a prosecutor, everything is always going to be on a case by case basis. If somebody is willfully violating quarantine, if they're coming off of an airplane and a police officer is telling them at the checkpoint, hey, go straight to your hotel and stay there, and you go see them turn into the parking lot at Walmart and go buy groceries, to me, somebody like that is going to be much more, we're going to take a much less sympathetic view to that person than maybe we would for a local resident who is out at 9:05 p.m. because they want to go dip their toes in the water up at Loop Road or whatever the case may be. There's a spectrum, and the people who are the bad actors, the people who really are being willful and wanton and just flaunting our community's health, they're the ones that are going to get whacked. The local residents who maybe misunderstood the rules because there were a lot of proclamations coming pretty fast and furiously in those early days. And there was some confusion about, okay, can I walk on the beach? Can I sit on the beach? Can I run on the beach? Can I swim in the water? But then what about going back to my car? Some of those cases, okay, we understand that, we're not looking to nail local residents who are just trying to follow the rules and do the best they can. But it's really the ones who really tried to take advantage of our hospitality here in Hawaii. Those are the ones that I am focusing on.
On the early stages when arrests were made here on Kauai, I guess one viewer writes, how come the visitors that violated quarantine were released only on $100 bail, while neighbor islands were bailing out because their bail was set at $4,000.
Bail on misdemeanor cases is set by the individual police department. So there could be inconsistencies from county to county in how that's applied. We don't get involved in setting the bail process until the case goes to court. So if there's an arrest and somebody posts bail, that's a bail amount that's set by the police department if it's a misdemeanor. And so, I mean, you could have an officer making an arrest on the Big Island, and it could be a completely different situation from an officer making an arrest in Waikiki in the facts and circumstances of the case. So maybe there's different bail justified in those cases. Police are supposed to set bail according to each individual case. And so it's just speculation for me to say what would be the reason that one case would be 100 and one case would be 1,000. That's up to the individual police department.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised with that when I saw, because we had made, I think, the initial curfews and quarantine. I think Kauai made the first was $100 bail. And then I see now, even up until today, tonight's news, Honolulu, it's 2,000. And in fact, they got that one guy for quarantine violation and falsifying the document. His bail was 4,000. He's sitting in jail right now.
I heard he was UH's best lineman too. Is that going to be a factor for the season? I mean, goodness gracious.
I'm not sure what's going to happen to his football career based on that, but I guess, it's $2,000, which leads me to another question that was put up by the viewer. What happens to those defendants that were released on $100 bail and sent back home? They all had court dates. What's going to happen if they don't show up?
If they don't show up for court, there will be a bench warrant issued for their arrest. And they run the risk that wherever they are, they will be arrested and extradited back to Hawaii. Maybe not now while we're in the grip of a pandemic, but those bench warrants stay out there for up to a couple of years. So maybe one day, 6 months from now or a year from now, they get pulled over for a traffic ticket in their home state. And all of a sudden this NCIC hit comes up that they got a warrant in Hawaii. And the next thing you know, we're getting a call, do we want to extradite the person back? So that it is, in this day and age of NCIC networks and instant communications, just crossing state lines does not insulate somebody from potentially being held accountable. So, right now, am I going to extradite on a misdemeanor from Maine? Maybe not, but maybe I will from California. I mean, it depends on the case.
And I'll ask one more question that came up. Do you know offhand the percentage of inmates that are pretrial versus sentenced inmates? Do you know what the percentage is?
I haven't looked at that in the last week or two. We've been trying to make it so that fewer of the inmates there are pretrial and more are sentenced, because we've been trying to minimize unnecessary pretrial detention. I could find out the numbers. I just got an updated roster this afternoon. I could have somebody run that and get it to you tomorrow, and you can post it.
Okay. Any more questions, Charles?
I think my question goes back to the arrest made for quarantine violations. I know Honolulu has done it. They'll come up with some kind of agreement. I think it's from the special task force from the AG's office. They make a special arrangement, and the person gets arrested, and then they leave. They let them go back to wherever they came from, get them off the island. My whole concern has been, that's fine and dandy, but we don't test them, because I want to know if they left something behind. That's what we're trying to fight, right?
Yeah.
So, I want to know why don't they test them? Why haven't they put out a governor's proclamation that people who are in that position, because they're getting a free card to just go back. but I want to know if you're leaving something behind, because that's the whole premise about this quarantine. And it behooves me to think that, you know, they're just saying, okay, go back, leave. Doesn't make sense. So what's your take on that, Justin?
Yeah, and I think part of it, you know, if you go back to the early days of this pandemic situation, and I'll just come out and say it, I don't think we were getting a lot of real clear, solid leadership at the state level on this. And so the testing was just not there. I mean, it's barely getting there now. There are smarter people than me in the public health arena that can have opinions about that. But I think in the beginning, it took a really long time for them to understand the importance of testing. And I think if that was going to happen now, you'd see a much higher likelihood that the person would be tested before they get shipped out, and they would make more of an effort to do contact tracing to see where this person went, who they may have interacted with, so they could go out and follow up and do more testing in the community. But I think it just took them a couple months to get to that point, and that's kind of that created a situation where there could have been some real harm caused. And you know, luckily, we seem to have had that not happen. But I mean, we did see testing failures lead to clusters. I mean, remember early on we had that cluster at Maui Hospital. I mean, it's hard to say that was not avoidable. But yeah, I mean, if you're kicking somebody out of the state because they've come here and violated public health laws, but you're not even testing them to see if they left us a little present, that to me is not sound.
You know, here you get two guys. All we are is ex-cops, and we've been sounding an alarm about testing. And today I went back into the archives of Mel Raposo on YouTube, and I started to see how many times we sounded the alarm about testing. And, you know, it really seems like it fell on deaf ears. I mean, we tried our darndest, but, you know, then all of a sudden something happened, but those numbers aren't where we would like them to be. Right, Mel?
Yeah, I mean, clearly not.
We beat that horse dead. I mean, you know, and it wasn't just Mel and Charlie. It was everybody except Dr. Anderson up at the state, who really didn't believe that testing was the answer. I mean, he should go back and watch the archives of his press releases or press conferences, and you know, it was everybody. It was everybody that I mean, across the world that I mean, you know, we had the woman from Korea, Minnie Cole, who told us exactly what we should be doing. And anyway,
yeah,
again, water under the bridge. You know, I still think they're slow. The contact tracing, all of these things that they better have in place before June 16th, because if not, we will see the impacts, and everybody will be excited for the release of the quarantine for Inter Island. But they're not going to be very happy when they shut it down again. And that is what my biggest fear is. We need to get everything in place and working before we decide to open up. So
yep.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, to me, the major concern has got to be keeping that pipeline of individuals from the mainland and from Japan from coming back until we have that ironclad process. You know, I think that the tools they have right now with the level that the virus is at inside Hawaii may be sufficient to protect us while we're traveling from island to island. But if we're going to have people coming back in from the mainland or from Japan, that they're really going to have to button that up quite a bit tighter, I think.
All right. Well, let us move on to, gosh, it's 7:45 already. Holy moly. One of my favorite topics, the vacation rentals. The blatant abuse, and understanding again that prosecutor's office is the prosecutor's office, and we have the planning department that enforces the TVR laws. And I've seen a lot of posts over the last month or so from residents all over the state, really taking pictures of advertisements on Craigslist. We know that it's illegal to advertise for vacation rentals and B&B right now for all B&Bs and all vacation rentals, even the legal ones that are permitted to do TVR.
Mhm.
And yet the ads don't stop. The vacation rentals are not stopping. And we, just for the public's information, I did report a bunch of them to Sarah Blaine, the chief of staff, and she advised me to send it over to Mike Loretta. He's the guy running the enforcement detail at the planning department, in which I did. And he responded very quickly to say that most of those that I sent to him was already being investigated, and they'd already sent warning letters to, and that he was going to add the extras to the list. Now, has any come across your desk yet, Justin? I don't recall seeing any.
Nothing's come across my desk, Mel. I know you've been in touch with Mike Loretta. I've seen those emails, and I've certainly heard it from the community that the community is sick of the mayor's orders being flaunted by the TVRs that have been flaunting our laws all along for many years here on the island. And, I have trust and faith that the planning department is following up on these. I know that they're dealing with dozens and dozens of complaints, and the number of people they have to work on this is, probably a couple, 3, 4. So I know it's a lot, but I do hope that we get the meaningful opportunity to go after some of these people, because they're out there making thousands and thousands of dollars. Even during this time, they're out there making money. And, to me, there are people that came in and destroyed neighborhoods on this island just because they wanted to make money. They came into Hanalei, they came into Haena, they came into Poipu. They wanted to make money, and they did not care about this community. So I have no sympathy for their crocodile tears about them not being able to pay their $5,000 a month mortgages. That's how capitalism works. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. So if they're out there violating the law, trying to lure tourists in at this time, I would love to be able to drop the hammer on them.
Let me ask you something. I guess I'm a little naive on the TVR situation, the TVR home front. Would it be advantageous for us to bring someone on that can explain the whole process, especially during this time? Because it seems like, plenty of people ask the same questions and they just look at it as an advertisement. But I'm sure there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes, the mechanics of how it works and how you get to a conclusion on the whole thing, especially when you're going to adjudicate something of that matter. Because right now it sounds simpler. It sounds really simple, but it seems very difficult in some ways. Especially if you're calling it in, it should be a no-brainer. Like, hey, bingo, you get nailed. But it's not happening that way, right? So should somebody come on to kind of explain to us what some of the things they got to watch for, what some of the loopholes these guys run through, and the whole rigmarole?
Yeah, I mean, they're the ones who deal with it on a daily basis. So I think, I don't know if they would have Mike come on, or Kaina, or somebody that would be able to really give the nuts to soup on the whole process. But, from our perspective, it's not that complicated. I mean, if you're running a TVR, you're either in a visitor destination area, or you're outside the VDA. If you're outside the VDA, you're grandfathered in so long as you follow the laws. I know the county has been canceling permits as people have failed to, keep up their fees or as they can catch them. So they have reduced the overall number, but there are still They can request contested case hearings, which are civil and administrative in nature and outside the criminal process. They're extremely expensive for the county to litigate. They cost a ton of money, and that's long before they ever get to the criminal arena. I mean, I have sent people to jail actually for operating for zoning violations, basically. And that was, not a TVR situation because they have so much money. They can drag the process out for years and years and years and years. And until we take some meaningful action, and it's not at the local level, this has got to be something that happens at the state level. They've got to decide they have the political will to want to take this problem on and preserve our communities. And so, so far, Mel and I have both been harping on this problem since before I was the prosecuting attorney. I mean, this is what, 9, 10, 11 years?
2008, man, 2008, 2007, 2008.
Yeah, and Joan Conroe did her incredible series and Karen Diamond has done her incredible work. And here, years later, I mean, I don't know if we're really any better off than we were back then.
I think the biggest problem we have, and I know we're short on time, but the biggest problem we have is the fact that we cannot stop the use of a TVR property, even upon the sale of that property, which is really ridiculous. And the state is the only one that can fix that. And the other night on PBS Insights, Representative Onishi basically put the blame right on the counties and said, we're the ones that are the cause, and we can't do anything until the state allows us to stop the TVR use of a property when that property is sold. What that's going to do is it's going to lower the value, obviously, because you don't have an income producing property. The new owner would have to go and reapply for a use permit. If he's outside of the VDA, it ain't going to happen because that's illegal. So, and the VDA is a visitor destination area. I'm sorry for the acronyms, but the problem, and this is where I really applauded the governor and the mayors for moving forward with the advertising of TVR. You see, when you get into the nuts and bolts of the zoning permits and the grandfathering, then you have a lot of defenses that you can bring up civilly. But the advertising, it's like a driver's license. You either have it or you don't. If you have an advertisement for a TVR, that in and of itself is a violation. I don't care if the TVR is legal or illegal. It's a violation to advertise a TVR. And in many of these cases, it's being advertised by the VRBOs or the owners themselves on Craigslist. The ones I sent over to Mike, you had the owner's name, you had the tax map key, you had the GE license number, you had all of the identifying information to go out, issue a violation to the owner for the advertising, not about the use. Now you have to go prove the use, but for an advertising, it's a screenshot, you're done. And that is the frustration I'm having. So Charlie, tomorrow I'll call the planning department and see if we can get someone on next week to explain why, because everyone's posting it on Facebook, and I keep reminding people, Facebook is not going to investigate your complaint.
Correct.
Facebook won't investigate your complaint.
Mark Zuckerberg is not out there reading your comments, people.
Yeah, I'm sure he stayed in some of our TVRs once or twice, The bottom line is that the frustration is this, Justin, and I know you share this, is that Kauai is where Kauai is in the numbers because the local people sacrificed a hell of a lot.
Yep.
For the last 2 months. And when they
see
these people disregarding the rules and the laws and being allowed to get away, when you see multiple advertisements on the internet, when we were told, and everybody pounded their chest, all the governors and the mayors, everybody pounded their chest, says, we're banning it. We're banning the advertising of it. But a lot of our local kids got cited for curfews. A lot of our people got cited for violation of the mayor's orders, and will get prosecuted. And I really appreciate your compassion when you look at these cases, Justin, case by case. I know somebody posted same crime, same punishment, but I know a personal friend that was the kids were driving home, and right around the corner by their house, they got stopped. They got cited for a curfew violation, and it was about a little after 9 o'clock. Do they deserve a $5,000 fine? I don't think so. It's not just because he's my friend's kids. I think things happen, and there's a it's called discretion. But anyway,
Correct. Yeah, that's exactly right, and that's why there is no one size fits all approach to curing crime. We look at every case on its own, because that's the job we signed up to do, and that's the job that the police signed up to do. And it's very different from Airbnb, who have spent, as a corporation, have spent enormous amounts of money in Hawaii attempting to defeat our attempts to regulate these rentals at a local level. I mean, the ledge actually took a pretty good shot at Airbnb a couple of years ago, and they came in with this AstroTurf movement that they created. They paid all of these people to come and testify at these hearings to defeat the bills. They are not a good corporate citizen for Kauai.
Not all TVRs are bad. You got TVRs in the VDA, and I think they're a complement to our visitor accommodations. But I think it's those that came in, bought properties, they don't even live here.
Yep.
And
just follow the law.
The one that I saw, which was, I think, was $14,500 a night, but it came with the vehicles, it came with everything, so you could basically beat quarantine. You wouldn't have to rent a car because it came with the car, it came with everything. So, and again, these are the things that we got to attack. And the longer we wait, COVID's not going to be here forever, and this is an opportunity now to go after these people. Again, I'm more pissed off about the disrespect to our island culture and our island laws than I am about providing an accommodation to a rich person. That pisses me off too. But for me, it's more upsetting when they do it so openly and blatantly. That to me is even a bigger crime. It's so disgusting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Charlie.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You look like you have a question, man. You look like you have a burning question.
For me, the whole premise is, it's trying to understand, from our prison population. And, about a week ago, I got a call from Maui because I've been very close with them ever since the prison riots. And, I asked the question, I said, hey, how are you guys getting released? And one comment was made, and the comment was, I wish the administrators, before they release anybody, they would come talk to us, the people who watching the prisoners, because half the people that they release, they said, I would have never released them. And I go, what? He goes, hey, he said, Charlie, we live with them day in, day out. We know their little shenanigans. We know they're going to come right back in, and sure enough. So, and that goes for Honolulu too, at OCCC. I mean, talking with some of the people there, it's rough. It's hard. It's hard.
Charlie, that's a really interesting point, and that's a good point that I don't think anybody has brought up yet. One of the things that I think is a little bit different about Kauai is that when the judge is being given the information, the report about a defendant before they make the sentence, they get input from the jail. And I don't think they do that in all the circuits. And sometimes there's a question about whether that input is helpful or harmful, but what it is it's informative, and it gives the judge a little bit more information before they impose their sentence. And yeah, because the people in the facility, they do know, is this person respectful? Do they honor their commitments? Do they stay out of trouble? All those things.
The one at OCCC said that when that first group was released, the prisoner actually turned and stuck a finger at them, say, hey, see you guys later. And they said, yeah, you're going to be back. You're going to be back. So that's when they got upset. And that's when they said, hey, you know what? We know these guys. I said, look at that. But the thing was already signed. He had his get out of jail free card right at that point. But sure enough, the person came back. But it's just that they had to waste so much expense-wise with law enforcement to go work up these cases again. Playing cat and mouse with a lot of these prisoners that shouldn't have been released in the first place. I believe the ones that, if they're coming to the end of their sentence and they became, they rehabilitated, yeah, there's no problem. But the one who has on rap sheet, they get about 10, 15 offenses, and it's just like they keep on knocking at the door every chance they get. The point is, when they get released, what do they have someplace to go? Do they have food? If those minimum stuff are missing, you can be rest assured they're gonna commit crimes again, because they gotta survive, they gotta eat, and they gotta do their drugs. That's just it. And I just wish somebody took a look at that. Yeah. Well,
All
brother.
right, well, we're at the 8 o'clock hour. Justin, any final closing comments for the people of Kauai?
No, just thank you guys for doing the show again and for having me on again. And I always appreciate the chance to come. And I know that our criminal justice system is sometimes difficult to figure out what's going on. And a big part of my job is coming in front of the community and explaining what is happening and why it's happening. And so I'm grateful for that opportunity. And I'm also grateful for everyone in this community that worked so hard and sacrificed so much over the last 10 weeks that now maybe we can go to the beach, we can go out and get some food to eat with our loved ones, and that we can, see our kids if they live on a different island. All those good things that everyone here worked hard to accomplish as a community. So that's what I really appreciate now. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And I know there's some comments about the TV. I think people got to understand again, prosecutor's office get involved once the complaints are filed or the violations are issued. The criminal violations, there's two types now, but my point is this: we're going to try to get planning on. We'll try to get planning, the administration on next week. We're like I said, we're booked this week. Next week we'll get them on to explain the process. I don't like what I see either. I wish we could prosecute more of them for the blatant violators, the ones that are basically showing the finger as they're leaving, saying ha ha ha. Those guys piss me off, and I think they need to be dealt with. But we will try to get somebody from planning. Whether or not they come, I don't control that. The other thing is Thursday we'll have Carrie Ann Shirota, and she will be talking about the re-entry of inmates back into society. And Charlie was a cop and I was long ago, 30 years ago. But as you talk about the judicial system, Justin,
hey, you're still on cop, Mel. You know that,
right? Not much has changed. Not much has changed. It's still the same setup. The frustrations, once he gets to the courtroom, things happen. And so not much has changed as far as the judicial system. The laws may change a little bit, but the process hasn't changed. So, we just gotta keep working and keep doing the best we can. But that piece, that re-entry piece is so important. If these inmates, while they are in prison, are not being set up to re-enter, then you're basically setting them up to fail. I know some people think that that's too compassionate or whatever, but at the end of the day, we want them to come back out and be productive. I'm not saying we let them out early or we be nice to them. I'm just saying we got to get these guys and gals ready for re-entry into society. And I'm interested to hear what Carrie and her colleagues will share with us on Thursday night, because that's just a whole different component of this system. So
yeah, the re-entry component is huge.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Justin.
No, I just said the re-entry component is huge. I mean, 99% of the people we send into the jail, they're going to come out one day, so they gotta be prepared to hopefully live a life that's going to keep them from going back in. So that is a huge component.
Charles, any closing comments, my friend?
Well, first I want to say thank you so much to Justin for coming on tonight, getting to talk about this program. I know there's a lot of facets to it. It's like a diamond, you know. While you got a bright side on one side, you might get a dull side on another. But it's just that, you know, we got to work through it all. I like to say to the viewers out there, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I know this wasn't an easy topic. There were a lot of comments, but you know, for the most part, it's all about, we should be very, very proud that on Kauai, we're running a really good record right now. And that is, we're doing a heck of a job. You know, we can be like Oahu, but we're not. Okay. You talking to someone who's lived mostly his whole life on Oahu before moving to Maui and becoming a law enforcement officer. So I know what Oahu is like, you know, being born and raised in Kalihi. And I'm glad there are some mentors now that goes around in different neighborhoods trying to talk with the kids, because they see how bad things can get. And you know, nowadays, the kids is much bigger than back in my time when I was a kid. I mean, you're looking at kids that they look like they're only 12 years old, but they look like they're in their 20s. And you know, when you get a kid that big, and if he's uncontrollable, you get a lot of problems. So I want to thank all the mentors out there who's taking the time out to, you know, to talk to these kids out there, make a difference in their lives. And I hope that whatever information we bring on with Mel and Charlie, that, you know, it gets the word out, because, you know, we're not perfect, but we try our best. And like I always tell Mel, you know, when I first started playing music at Color Hill Steakhouse, and I used to get some hecklers, they used to always heckle me once in a while. I tell them, man, knucklehead, if you can do better, get your ass up here and you start playing so I can heckle you. Oh, shut up. They pay the bill. They leave already. I say, yeah, that's what I thought. So you know what, gang? We do our best to get the information out to you. So thank you.
All right. Well, thank you guys again. Again, join us again tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, Lieutenant Governor Josh Green will be sharing with us. Stuff changes every day, so you know, it's always exciting to hear what they have to say. And on Wednesday, Senator De La Cruz with his friends to share with us the Senate COVID committee's perspective of what's going on. And Thursday again, Carrie Ann Sirota, and Friday, Congressman Ed Case. So it'll be a great jam-packed week. And again, we'll work on getting planning next week, as well as I know a lot of people have been saying Chipper Wickman. I want to get Chipper Wickman on the show next week as well. Amazing. He had amazing discussion on PBS Insights the other night. I think he has the model that the state needs to follow as we redefine tourism here in Hawaii. So with that, everybody, aloha no kako. See you guys tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Love you guys. God bless. Stay safe. And don't forget, pray for our law enforcement officers out there in crappy situations. Pray for everyone. We don't want nobody to get hurt. We don't want nobody to die. Aloha, you guys. You have a good night. Stay safe. God bless.